Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Did want to give some thoughts. Saints first practice of the first training camp under Kellen Moore. We'll let you hear from him as well. There's a lot to take in. While it was a shorter practice, Kellen Moore said one of the shortest practices that they will have Wednesday and Thursday. They'll put the pads on next week. So kind of easing into it, right? First practice out there since the summer, easing into it. But there was plenty to go around. We'll get to the quarterbacks, and that's going to really be the bulk of this conversation. But first, just some other things notable to watch. There were no changes along the offensive line. You still had from left to right, Kelvin Banks, Trevor Penning, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and Taliese Fuanga. I don't think that really comes as a big surprise, but once they get the pads on next week, it'll be really interesting to see how that unit gels in 11-on-11. Speaking of 11-on-11, you saw the first 11-on-11 team drills of the offseason today as well. We talked on Tuesday about 5 things I wanted to see. One of those was the running backs outside of Alvin Kamara, like guys backing up AK. And we really kind of focused in on Kendre Miller. On Wednesday, the first Saints training camp practice, Kendre Miller ran with the second team. Your first team running backs were Alvin Kamara, Devin Neal, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Neal also split the second team reps with Miller. That's intriguing, man, because again, I know they're high on Devin Neal, and look, if that pans out and he's great, awesome. Kendre Miller is just the guy that you've kind of been waiting on. If he can stay healthy with a clean slate under Kellen Moore, would this kind of be his time? We'll see kind of where he factors into the rotation, maybe on Thursday and later on in camp. But at least on day one, Kendre Miller running with the second team. And then the other thing would be, outside of quarterbacks that we definitely wanted to see, was the safety rotation. Obviously, Tyrann Mathieu surprises everybody on Tuesday, retires after 12 NFL seasons. We looked at this and said, man, this is a huge opportunity for a guy like Jonas Sanker. Well, on Wednesday, the first team safeties were Justin Reed and Jordan Howden. Jonas Sanker ran with the second team along with Terrell Burgess, JT Gray, Elliott Davison covered those third team reps. I would expect Sanker to see some reps kind of increase there. We'll obviously talk again with when we get our full training camp report, how he looked, things of that nature, because again, the defensive rookies are something that I really wanted to see here in training camp because, for one, the pads are finally going to come on and you'll finally have team drills. So interesting. And look, obviously the Saints signed Julian Blackmon Tuesday night. So I have some thoughts on that for later in the show as well about the signing and when he gets to camp. Obviously that'll shake up that room a little bit. But your first team safeties day one, Justin Reed, Jordan Howden, Jonas Sanker running second team. Okay. Now, the quarterbacks. This is really what everyone wants to hear about, right? And the reps were split. Rattler with the first team, Shough with the second team, Jake Haener ran with the third team. We'll get into kind of some of their days, but first, Kellen Moore talked about the quarterback's day as a whole and whatnot, and it was a real generic coach speak answer, everything you expect him to say. The media got him to go a little bit deeper. He talked about why Spencer Rattler, this is number 6, Taylor, why Spencer Rattler got the first crack at the first team reps.
Well, I think we have a bunch of statistics and stuff based off OTAs, and I mean these guys are writing it's literally the same exact numbers in every category, and so they're very consistent throughout the whole process. Spencer's obviously been here one more year. We just start with him, and then we'll go from there, and I won't worry too much about that.
So the seniority is a factor there. Experience absolutely plays in, and it should. Tyler Shough is going to go through a little bit of growing pains here in his first training camp. That kind of happened a little bit today. He had 15 snaps with the second team. Credit Ross Jackson here with these numbers. He ends up 2 of 6 on the day. 4 of 8. They had some playthroughs following sacks, but 2 of 6, 4 of 8. Pick which number you really want. You're going to see him look like a rookie, and he should, and that's okay. He'll get the first team reps on Thursday. Kellen Moore confirmed that after practice as well, and you heard him even at the end of that cut when he talked about the seniority for Rattler. I wouldn't read too much into that. So the next question kind of becomes, okay, sense of urgency. Does Kellen Moore, in his first year as a head coach, his first training camp, does he feel a sense of urgency in naming a starting quarterback?
The sooner you make a decision, the sooner you can focus in on certain personnel groups and certain consistencies. But we'll let the process take it as long as it needs to, and when we make that decision, we'll roll.
That's kind of a talk out of the both sides of your mouth answer a little bit there, because he talked, the sooner you make the decision, you can get personnel and everything. You can have the offense come together, right? But we'll wait and see how it goes. Then when we make that decision, we'll make the decision. When the time comes, we'll make that decision. I'm not going to say there's a sense of urgency. I 100% believe they want this done as soon as possible, though, so they can really focus in on personnel packages and things that work the best and get the guy who's going to be the guy the most time with the first team as they can leading up into game number one. That's obvious, right? So I obviously think that is a factor there for Moore. Maybe it's not a sense of urgency, but they definitely like it done as quickly as they can get it done. The other thing that was really interesting in terms of timeline, and we touched on this briefly Tuesday when Kellen Moore met with the media to open up camp. And he really when he talked about splitting the quarterback reps, said, we'll split them evenly, throughout the three guys leading into the first preseason game against the Chargers. And he even went back in that media availability, again, kind of focused in on that first preseason game against the Chargers. And the media asked him Wednesday if that is when they would like to have the decision. Like, coming out of that game, is that kind of your timeline? Because he's focused in on that a couple different times to have the quarterback named then.
Well, I think one of the biggest things is, at the end of the day, playing quarterback, there's a lot of things around you, and you're in a controlled environment in practice, and so it's our first chance to play with live action, and the ability to get sacked, the ability to get hit, some of those components there, which will be very valuable for those quarterbacks, and it'll be the first step in that process to see how they respond.
So again, he didn't put a steadfast timeline on it, and everything he's saying there is true. You can only learn so much through training camp. And the Saints are not going to have joint practices this year either. They'll spend the week leading into that first preseason game against the Chargers in Irvine, but they won't have joint practices. And that's really in training camp where you could actually learn the most outside of the preseason games. So, of course, those are going to be massive. And the one against the Chargers is going to be massive. But I think if you could get Kellen Moore in a true moment of candor and ask him that same question about, okay, what do you want determined after that first preseason game? I think he would tell you maybe he doesn't want the starter name, but he wants clearer separation. And maybe you will get separation throughout training camp leading into that. You got, 3 weeks leading into that game. And maybe you start to see some things kind of, pan out. But coming out of that, when you get them in the live game environment, you can see how they manage the huddle in a real game. On an obvious passing down, can they complete the throw? How they react to getting hit, to contact, how they run the offense. The Saints used a lot of tempo on Wednesday in their first training camp practice. So how all of that factors in. Does this quarterback use his legs better than another? Once you get into a real game environment, and I know the result doesn't matter, but it's a real game environment, you absolutely want to see some separation. You want a clearer picture after that first game. If someone establishes themselves and you see a switch in first team reps, and that's what I really want to focus in on after that game is there a switch in how they handle first team reps? Do you see one guy getting more days than the other, or do they continue to split it evenly? That's going to be intriguing, and really the most intriguing part of coming out of that game against the Los Angeles Chargers for your first preseason matchup. The other thing that I really, really liked, and the answer from Kellen Moore was predictable, but he was asked point blank if Tyler Shough has an edge in this competition because Kellen Moore drafted him and he appears to be, quote, your guy. This is what he said.
I view them all the same. Love these guys. These guys have been awesome all offseason, and fired up just to let those guys play it out and go for it.
Again, it's a dull answer. It's the answer you expected him to say. He's not going to be like, yes, absolutely, Tyler Shough, that's who we want to emerge out of this. But I do believe that that's who they want to emerge out of this. The fully guaranteed contract. They spent the second round, pick on him, liked him a lot. Liked him enough in the second round that they didn't move back into the first round to take Jackson Dart. Remember, Jackson Dart, the Saints were favored to select him on draft night. But they liked Shough enough that they stayed, but they didn't move up for him. I think in that situation, that absolutely shows you that, yes, he is Kellen Moore's guy, and that is the guy eventually, maybe it's not week one, but eventually who he wants in that spot. We'll see how it plays out. For what it's worth, Spencer Rattler was fantastic. Per Ross Jackson's charting over at LouisianaSports.net, Rattler goes a perfect 9 for 9 in the team drills and the 9-on-7s. That's awesome to see. That's what you kind of expect from a guy who's got a year in the NFL under his belt. So a solid day from Rattler in his 17 snaps. There you go. That's about half runs, half passes, and he goes 9 of 9. That's awesome. And look, that just kind of continues what you saw from him in OTA and minicamp. So when you have a guy like Shough, who is the head coach's guy, right, that he brought in, Rattler might feel a little bit of extra pressure to win out and to win that job. And so far, so good. Great OTA, great minicamp, and a great start in day one of training camp for Spencer Rattler as well. All right.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.